So tech companies are quite weird companies when you think about it. I'm not talking kind of in general, I'm just talking about when you are investing in them. And my point about that is the fact that when you look at a tech company, most of the time they will never pay a dividend. And secondly, a lot of the time they actually run at a loss. So I want to give you 5 different pieces of advice when you are looking to pick a tech company to invest in. Now, some of this advice will help you probably with some of the tech companies you already own, if you do own any. And it should also help you pick new tech companies to invest in. So point number 1 is going to be always plan your out. And this could pretty much be said for any type of investing you're doing, but with tech companies, it's especially important, whether that is an out up or an out down. As you won't really be making money through dividends, you are most likely going to aim to make your money through the value of the stock or share that you buy going up. Now, you can be highly optimistic and hope that the value of this stock is going to go up forever. But if you buy it with the intention of holding on to it forever, then it's not really an investment. It's more of something that your money is tied into. So long as you do not plan your out, you will never be able to, cash in on what it should be worth. Now, ideally, this price is higher than what you originally paid for it, but that's not always the case. And let's say that you buy a stock at $50 and then your upper out is $100. So you've doubled your money, but your lower out is $25. So long as you stick to that principle, you will make money, or you will actually get the money out of your investments, which is the point of investing. If you just hold on to it forever, you don't necessarily own more of that company. That bit that you own just is worth more money, but it's not money that you're ever going to see because you're never planning on selling it. Whereas if you sell it at the price where you've already planned, you can use the money or the gains from selling it to invest in something else. But that's more of a kind of investing in general point. My second point is going to be specific for tech companies, is to look for middlemen. And by middlemen, I mean companies that essentially sit between two other parties or two other groups of consumers. An example of this would be like Uber. Uber doesn't own any cars, but what it does is it allows drivers to easily connect to passengers. It sits in the middle. It is a middleman. And another example of that would be Airbnb. Airbnb is a middleman. It doesn't own properties, but it allows landlords and people who own properties to easily find renters and holidaymakers. But there are a lot of other examples of middlemen. Facebook's a middleman. It doesn't post any content. It's just people posting content onto Facebook and then other people see it. You also had Netflix. Netflix didn't originally create all its original content. It used to just allow studios to make content, put it on Netflix, and then people were able to access this content through Netflix. So yeah, look for the middlemen. Point number 3 is always understand what you are buying. Now, with tech companies, that can get quite difficult and complex really quickly. But that was actually one of the reasons why I made this channel. It was to help people who might not be that tech savvy understand the companies that they could be buying a little bit better. And if you do actually want to understand the tech companies a little bit more, you don't need to learn how to code or programming. What I would really recommend is you actually learn a little bit about networking, cloud infrastructure, and things like AWS, Azure. That sort of thing actually helps you understand how things connect together more than kind of how coding works. Because the magic of the internet is not one line of code, it's how everything connects together. And if you can understand that and how things connect together, it will make kind of understanding how tech companies work a lot better. Point number 4, and this is probably my most important point, is that if everyone is talking about it, stay clear. Well, not necessarily stay clear, but just look at it with extreme skepticism. The market doesn't necessarily work based on the value of the company. The market works on the base of what someone is willing to pay for a particular stock at a particular time. And a good example of this would be looking at Signal Advance. Elon Musk made a tweet a few months ago about a company named Signal. It just was a 2-word tweet that said use Signal. And a publicly traded company by the name of Signal Advance increased in value by quite a lot. This was not the company he was talking about. He was talking about Signal, the messaging app. So you had quite a lot of people buying into this company that had nothing to do with what that tweet was because of the hype around it. And the other kind of point I want to make is kind of probably quite a touchy point, and that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's value isn't really based on anything other than what people are willing to pay for it. And if people own Bitcoin, most of the time they will tell other people to buy Bitcoin, because they know if they can have or generate interest in Bitcoin, then that will push the price of Bitcoin up. Because if someone is interested in Bitcoin, they will pay for Bitcoin. You have this never-ending cycle of people essentially pushing the price of Bitcoin up because other people are generating more interest in Bitcoin. So yeah, I know that is quite a touchy subject, but that was just kind of my opinion. I don't actually own any Bitcoin. Not because I don't want to, it's mostly because I can't afford to. But yes, this kind of circles back to the point is the market is very simple. If people want to buy something, then the price of that goes up. If people don't want to buy it, then the price of it goes down. So if a lot of people are talking about something, then just be very skeptical about whether it is a good deal, because most of the time, if enough people are talking about it, then it's already too late. And finally, point number 5, and this is kind of more to do with your diversification of tech companies. Just know that there are a couple of different types of tech companies. In fact, there are 2 different types of tech companies, so it's literally a couple. You have infrastructure companies and you have software companies. So you have the hardware and the software, which is like the computer you have and also the operating system that runs that computer. It's the same for tech companies. You have a vast difference in the types of tech companies you have when it comes to infrastructure and software. But just know that there is really only 2 different groups. And when you are looking to buy or diversify your portfolio, just know that you can split it into these 2 groups. You can split it into the infrastructure, which is companies like AWS, like Tesla, Microsoft, and Apple. And then you will also have software companies. So this could be like Shopify or Spotify or Airbnb, Uber, Facebook. Now, sometimes the lines between hardware and software can be quite blurred. Like Apple has its operating system and it sells kind of software products, but it also sells hardware products. The same with Amazon and AWS and Microsoft. My point is that it is important to know what type of company you are investing in, because a hardware company is limited by its physical infrastructure, which means that its customers can be quite limited. Whereas a software company, as soon as a software or a piece of software becomes live, it has access to, well, almost 7 billion customers. So software companies have the advantage where they can access almost everybody on the planet, but the software would not work without the physical infrastructure behind it. So when investing in tech, if you want to diversify your portfolio, just make sure that you are diversified within those 2 categories, the hardware and the infrastructure and the software. So it's good to be invested in both. You have the software companies that will have access to a lot of different customers, but you will also have the infrastructure companies that have access to the software companies providing to all of the customers. And that is how you can diversify your portfolio in tech. I do hope these points have been helpful and you have enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, I would really appreciate if you hit that like button for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.